Navy SEAL and Trump supporter, and Hassan Shilby, the chief executive director of the Florida branch of the Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CARE. Great to see you both.
Thank you.
So, Carl, we had this debate on the show last night.
Right.
You just want to make clear that we got into this back and forth about, whether there was legal precedent for doing this with checking at the border. And you made a reference to the Japanese in World War II, and your position tonight is that that was not a reference to internment camps.
Oh, no,
is that right?
absolutely. Quite frankly, I was actually shocked that you brought in internment camps, but it was a reference strictly to the scrutiny on immigration and the stopping of immigration and the registration of immigrants coming from places like Japan and Italy and Germany and things like that. So, no, it had nothing to do with internment camps whatsoever.
Okay, but you didn't say that you were shocked. Here is what happened between us last night when we were talking about this proposal by Chris Kobach to check out Muslims at the border. Listen. They're discussing drafting a proposal to reinstate a registry for immigrants from Muslim countries,
Yeah, and perfectly honest, it is legal. They say it'll hold constitutional muster. I know the ACLU is going to challenge it, but I think it'll pass. And we've done it with Iran back a while ago. We did it during World War II with Japanese, which, call it what you will, maybe wrong.
You're not proposing we go back to the days of internment camps, I hope.
No, I'm not proposing that at all, Megyn. But what I am saying is that we need to protect America first.
That's the kind of stuff that gets people scared, Carl.
Right. But I'm just saying there is precedent for it, and I'm not saying I agree with it.
All right. So, I mean, there wasn't shock expressed. There was saying, hey, there's precedent for it, which is what got people, confused. But I take you at your word if you're saying you were referencing something else. You were trying to make a different point.
It was referenced in parallel with Iran when we, under Jimmy Carter, when we banned immigration from Iran. So I assume that, forgive me for not being as clear as I possibly could, but I never...
Because you mentioned the Japanese in World War II.
Yeah, no, I did, but I did not ever mention internment camps. So, for those out there who thought it was...
I know, but that's kind of the big story about what we did here to the Japanese.
You put words out there, Megyn, and let's be honest, the media had happy to run with them.
Only after you put out the words about what we did to the Japanese in World War II, which is like, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I think the left-wing media took this by the horns because they're not a fan of Donald Trump, but this is exactly why he run, because of the dishonest media. Not saying you.
Okay, well, listen, I understand you're clarifying it. Got it. Hassan, let me bring you in on what Carl is actually saying tonight, which is he supports this proposal. You just heard our lawyer saying it would be upheld in a court of law to say Muslims coming into the country from countries where terror originates or where there's a terror problem, that they could be forced to submit to this kind of monitoring. Your thoughts?
Thank you, Megyn. And to Carl, I say, have you no sense of decency, sir? I mean, America is a country based on freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is a fundamental principle that I have taken an oath, and I'm sure you've taken an oath to protect. And it is ineffective to target people simply based on religion. Let's target criminals, let's target terrorists, but let's not divide people simply based on their religion. And my children hear you. After Donald Trump won, my children came home, they're ages 4, 5, and 6. And we don't talk about politics at home, but they said, Daddy, Trump won, and now he's going to kick us out, and he's going to build a wall so big we can't even fly back home. And I told them, kids, don't worry, you're all born here. This is your land, and I'll protect your freedom to practice your faith in this land, as we will protect the freedom of all Americans to practice their faiths in this land.
He's not talking about Americans, though, Hassan. Yeah. He's not talking about Americans. He's talking about foreigners who want to come into America and the kind of screening that we should do when we're in a war on terror.
Well, I think anybody coming into America should face scrutiny and screening to make sure that people who are coming into America are law-abiding.
You don't think there should be any heightened scrutiny for those who come from hotbeds of terror?
I don't think there should be heightened scrutiny based on people's religion. Again, that's not what America's about. You have the IRA committing terrorism.
Is that based on religion, or is it based on a geographical, a geopolitical war?
Well, we've heard many different things. We've heard many different things from Trump supporters and Trump surrogates, and some have advocated. I mean, this gentleman here himself has said some very negative things about the entire Muslim community. We can't be promoting fear and hate against an entire religious community. Let's target on actual threats, but let's not divide Americans based on religion, because what makes America so great is freedom of religion. That's what the U.S. Constitution is about.
Go ahead, Carl.
Well, Hassan, forgive me for not taking you too seriously about American security and safety, which is the paramount of Donald Trump's policies here. Your organization, CARE, was listed as a terrorist organization by the UAE. 7 of your board members can't come into the United States because they have alleged terrorist ties, and you supported Hamas. So let's be very clear here. Donald Trump wants to protect Americans first and scrutinize people who want to join our country, and make sure when they do join our country, they do it on our terms, which is safe, for Americans, but we also want to be fair to the people who are already here. So I welcome immigrants, I welcome people from all over the country, or all over the world, to join us here, but I want to make sure that it's safe for Americans in my country that I fought for.
Go ahead, Hassan.
And that's absolutely false. You know, I'm a civil rights lawyer. I run the largest civil rights organization in the state of Florida. We defend the rights of all people of discrimination, regardless of race or religion or ethnicity.
The UAE has designated CARE as a terrorist organization.
The UAE did designate CARE, not CARE Florida, and we don't go by the UAE. We live in a democratic country. The UAE does not have democratic freedoms or liberties, and the reason they did is because CARE is a civil rights organization. Yes, a dictatorship. Are you under UAE laws, or do we believe in American laws? I go by the American system. Only a couple months ago, I met with the president. Our deputy director is a sheriff deputy, and he protects this country day and night. We keep our country safe. We're proud Americans, and we want to keep America a free and just nation for all people, regardless of their race or religion, and we will stand for all victims of discrimination. Let's stand united. Let's not let fear and hate divide us and turn us against each other.
Carl, I'll give you the quick last word, and I got to go.
I just want to say thank you, Megyn. I think the American people understand where we stand on our differences on this one, so thank you.
Great to see you both. Also tonight, we're doing a new investigation into fake news reports and whether they changed people's